Hey, how's it going? Oh, okay, we're back on a water walk. Look, I got the wire here. Oh, this is gonna get in the way, isn't it? I don't know what to do. I'm a little bit further away. No, that's not gonna work. Oh well, I'll just try and deal with it. How's it going? So, let's see, what's in the news? Well, water's very slow. I have a special valve here that shuts off the water that goes towards the village. I mean, there's lots of pipes, it's not depriving anyone of anything. But now it's getting into the height of the hot season, hot, dry season. And it's very dry, very hot. Even here it's hot. Yeah, so quite often at this time of year, the water flow is quite slow. That's fine, we're in no rush. I think it was that first year I was coming up. It was really slow, it was like a trickle. It'd take a half an hour to fill the bottles. But I kind of liked it, actually, because, I mean, it's just nothing better than just sitting in the northern highland tropical forest and just listening and pondering the universe and all that. It's really good. Look at how I'm dealing with this wire. I'm so talented. I'm cleaning out the bottle. Well, I'm just rinsing it out, really. That seems good enough. Every now and then I'll actually do a real clean, but not too often. Because I fill them up fairly often. So today is election day in Thailand. So that'll be interesting to see where that goes. Well, there's that in the news. There was that terrible shooting in New Zealand. I think it was Christchurch. Terrible. Yeah, and of course, since a high percentage of my friends are Canadians, I think it has something to do with it. I don't know how, but not just. Because of, I think, connected to this shooting, everyone's going after Jordan Peterson now. It's like, what? Well, he had his picture taken with this guy that says, "I am a proud Islamophobe," like with an A, right? Didn't even spell it right. And then listed all kinds of things, you know. Jesus. Anyway, so people now are using that as their, oh, what's that? I thought it was a bug, but it's not. As fodder for their, "I Jordan Peterson" thing. Anyway, I kind of responded a few times, which against my better judgment, but I don't know. Maybe it's just too hot and I'm punchy. It's pretty hot up here. It's hitting 30 degrees, I'd say, you know, in the main village in the sun kind of thing. Where I live, it's always a bit cooler. But even where I am, it's getting up to 28 and 29. Because I'm, you know, completely covered by trees and in a little hollow, so it's cool air tends to pool there, which is nice for me, I think. Although nothing's ever perfect, right? So, so during the cool, wet season, it takes forever to dry out where I am. But now it's super dry. Like, I haven't had my dehumidifier going for, at least a week and a half or 2 weeks, I'd say. That's nice, I'm going to save money. My electric bill this month will be 300 baht. And usually it's in the 600 to 700 baht range when I have the dehumidifier running. What's interesting is, you know, the rains kind of end at the end of October, right? So it doesn't rain much, but it's still quite wet up here. So I was looking at my electric bill. Okay, so 300 baht is like, I don't know, what is that, like $10 American, and I'm not sure what it is Canadian. Oops. Oh, I got a soaker. Anyway, it's more, right? Because Canadian dollars crappy. Anyway, so it's not much, right? But normally it's in the 600 to 700 baht range with the new dehumidifier that's working fantastically. Yeah, anyway, so Yay for the dry season. It's actually also here. I mean, in the city, it's really hot, right? It's in the 38 to 39 every day. That's really hot for me. But it's okay. You just gotta take life easy when it's that hot, right? And unless you're a mad dog or Englishman, you just don't go out in the midday sun, as the song suggests. Yeah. But, you know, I always think this time of year is almost perfect up here. It's still quite cool in the morning, you know, like 14, 15 degrees. That's quite cool for this part of the world. Very nice. Anyway, yeah. So, yeah, still rolling. Sometimes it just cuts out. Yeah. So, what else? Election day. Jordan Peterson. Of course, because I'm feeling kind of mischievous. Because everyone's posting that picture of him having his picture taken with the goofball with the "I'm a proud Islamophobe" on it. Now I want to post like 1 million Jordan Peterson videos. Maybe, I don't know if I will. Probably shouldn't really. Why bother? But it just seems so... What's the word? Cynical or something. I don't know. It seems cynical. Facile. Like every now and then... Oh, so we're on a Peterson talk. It seems like, to a degree at least. I won't go on too long with it. But every now and then people call him a climate change denier, right? I guess it depends how you define climate change denier. He definitely supports Bjorn Lomborg, right? And I'm kind of in the middle with Bjorn Lomborg, you know, because I might get this is going to be a very shallow interpretation of what he's been doing over the years, but my sense is that with Lomborg is he believes that this is, please forgive me if I got this wrong, but something like if we just improve the way of life and economy of all the different countries, then the things like fossil fuel use will go down. And I have no doubt that that is true, right? But the question becomes, is it enough? And that I don't know. I don't think so, but maybe. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. To me, it's all, what's the word? I want to say academic, but it's not academic. It's, because my core belief is that without a really deep, like David Ehrenfeld in his wonderful book, Jesus, what's the name of his book? He wrote it like, I don't know, 30 years ago. Something of Humanism. The Problem with Human... No. Shoot, I can't remember. One of the pivotal books of my readings. Anyway. But at some point, he's actually... The book is really a counter to a book by Lynn White. And Lynn White, he wrote a book saying that much of the destruction of like the modern, of the environment and stuff has to do with religion, and Christianity in particular is where he goes after. I mean, he goes after Judaism a little bit, but I read part of it, but so long ago I can't remember anything. Anyway, it's because he wrote that 60s or 70s or something. Anyway, so David Ehrenfeld kind of uses a whole bunch of biblical and Jewish, he's a Jewish person, biblical texts and Jewish texts, like ancient ones, like from, thousands of years ago, showing that actually isn't the root philosophy of those belief systems, right? And there's these really beautiful references about, like, what does he say? At some point he says, I think this might be a Christian one, a biblical one, says something like, it's something about the hubris of humanity. I created the gnat before you. Who are you to proclaim your superiority, right? Something like that. Anyway, It's really good. But there's a bunch of stuff like that. So, you know, anyway. Ooh, what's my point? Bjorn Lomborg, David Ehrenfeld. Ooh. Oh, spiritual. That's it. So Ehrenfeld says what we need is in essence a kind of spiritual change, you know. And in sort of modern terms, you could say the current religion of today is a kind of material, like almost fundamental, well, is fundamentalist in a lot of ways, kind of fundamental kind of materialism is kind of the religion of today. And, you know, most, at some level, it looks like that's how much of the modern world, and I want to say Western world, but not just, and that is basically what they believe in, right? So we can mechanize our, what is it that, how does Rupert Sheldrake put it? It's another person I really like who was really good friends with Terence McKenna. And I watched a few videos a couple of years ago with the two of them, you know. Maybe with Alan Young in there too. Anyway, sorry if these names don't mean anything to you. I won't bother going into it too much, but yeah, so basically it's a kind of spiritual shift. And for me, this is all about connection with the earth, right? And that's really my main focus in things, and that's what I think. I believe and think that without a fundamental shift in how we perceive ourselves on the planet, it's really hopeless, you know. But it's not hopeless. But from that angle, to me, it is hopeless, you know. So I was reading that Green New Deal thing. Who's that? What's her name? Or there's an American congresswoman or senator, Ortez. Sorry, I just forget her name. Anyway, and there's this Green New Deal they're talking about down there. And you read it and you go, oh, come on. For Christ's sakes, this isn't doing anything. This isn't going to do anything. In my opinion. Anyway, it's just more of the same. Anyway, but, you know, my basic root, like if there's anyone, like if a dear friend said I lionized Jordan Peterson, which I really like him, but I wouldn't put it that way, you know. But I would be willing to say I do lionize John A. Livingston, who's a Canadian naturalist. He was really involved with nature things in the early times, and then he was a professor at York. But I just love his writing and his speaking, and he was John Livingston. You'll know John if you're older, like if you're my age, say 50s, 60s, 70s. You'll know John Livingston from the Hinterlands Who's Who. You know, like anyway about and the beaver is blah blah blah. That's his voice, and he wrote those, I guess, and produced them. But anyway, the point I'm trying to get to is that in this CBC Ideas program, this one was from the early 90s, I'd say. He says, I do not call myself a naturalist, and I refuse to. No, sorry. I will not call myself an environmentalist. I refuse to. I'm a naturalist, right? And he mentions that there's very few naturalists in the environmental whatever world, right, at that time, and probably the same deal now. But he says, you know, the main focus for the bulk of the environmental movement is to, how does he put it? In essence, it's to keep things the same and still get away with it. So, i.e., don't change how you view the world or how you live your life on the earth and all that stuff, right? Anyway, so that's that, right? So back to Peterson. So people say calling him right, okay, so Peterson, Lomborg, climate change denier, right? I'm like, well, okay, I can't say that I am in agreement with Peterson about the dangerous state that we're in from a climate perspective. But I don't know. It's just my feeling and sense and what I've read, right? Like, I'm not like Peter Wadham spending my whole life, my whole career, say, in submarines under the Arctic ice, studying Arctic ice, right? Like, there's a guy that knows, and he has a really great book out, and He's wonderful to listen to in interviews, you know. He's like sounding the alarm, but his manner is so gentle and so, you know, beautiful, actually. You're like, oh, right. He's saying we're screwed. But it sounds more like, oh, if we just get ourselves a nice cup of tea, everything will be fine. It's great. Anyway, so that's my perspective, right? I think we're in trouble, and I also think, and a lot of, when I'm reading things and paying attention to things, a lot of my focus ends up being on the Arctic sea ice, right? Because I do see that when that goes, which seems inevitable, that things are going to become very unstable, and you can see things are becoming unstable at the edges, right? There's lots of stuff, and of course it's really difficult you can't, as it's always said, it's hard to nail it down to one thing. That's because it's a complex world, right? It's not, you can't say one thing or the other. It just cannot be, but you can observe it and go, oh, this could be that, right? Anyway, so Peterson, climate denier, right? So here's the thing, I just can't get it out of my head. It's like, everyone is so happy to declare someone a climate denier. And the words are so easy. It's so easy to go, oh, he's a climate denier. I hate him. It's like, okay, it's easy to say that someone's a climate denier, right? Like I said, words are easy in some kind of ways. But actually, if you looked at your own life and the action, you're all climate deniers. We are all climate deniers, right? Like, so there, you know, I don't know, I was kind of brought up with actions speak louder than words, so maybe it's complex, though. We're all also part of the whole system, especially if we're in a modern situation, which most of the world is, right? The vast majority of people are now in a modern industrial situation, right? So, and also the other thing that's floating around at the moment that on my Facebook world thing is capitalism. Like, we have to take down capitalism otherwise we can't save the climate. I'm like, well, it's like, really? Okay. It's the same thing, right? And so a couple times I said, well, you might want to keep in mind that taking down capitalism probably also means taking down an industrial civilization or society setup, right? And I'm like, oh, you never see people say that, right? Because people want to take down capitalism but still have all the stuff, right? So, like, okay, anyway, in Canada it's all about, oh, it's a human right to have clean water. It's like, what they actually mean is clean water coming out of the tap, right? And, okay, great, have clean water coming out of the tap, that's fantastic. But to my thinking, please keep in mind that that's like unbelievable luxury, right? That's like privilege, like, you know, that word privilege, like they use a lot, white privilege or whatever privilege, right? That is like privilege beyond belief. Like, there was a time when even like a king of a country would think like drinkable water out of tap would be ridiculous, right? So it's our modern times, right? So all that stuff also spins in with fossil fuels, which also spins in with the modern industrial thing. So how do we deal with it? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I guess you can do your own things, but of course, rightly so, it's also pointed out that individual actions won't change the bigger thing. I actually don't know. I actually think that the idea, and this is a Buddhist idea, but also Guy McPherson references a lot, that, you know, there's the idea of right action even though you don't know what the outcome is. And to me, that's a pretty solid way to go about it, right? So, I don't know. That's how I look at it anyway. It's a complex world. Anyway, so, is that enough? Where are we at now? Oh, what the hell? 19 minutes? I'm sure no one's listening. Maybe my friend Brendan. Oh, Brendan. Get back to that. Su Chang and Brendan might be watching till now. So, hey guys, how's it going? That's about it. But my friend Shannon sent a message and said, oh, I watch your water walking videos. I went, oh, really? Thanks for letting me know. But Brendan, I want to mention Brendan, he wrote a really powerful piece in his blog. And I actually had read it and had to stop and step away and think about it and then go back to it, you know. But I'll link that recent piece he wrote in below this video on YouTube and on Facebook. Yes, really amazing. It's like the guy's a goddamn poet. Anyway, right. So maybe I should stop now and I'll do a little bit of walking through the forest and hopefully I can just shut up. Okay, ciao. Hope everyone's doing good. Ciao. Ciao. Oops, sorry, it's shaky. Oh, I remember. I was trying to figure out what the modern religion is. Materialist. Yeah, that's right. Not mechanist materialism. Don't talk. Just listen to the birds. Or a bird singing. Oh, also, my Wolfgang Ramminghaus in Thompson, I think so. We're gonna do another interview. We did one two years ago, 2.5 years, 2 years maybe, 2.5. Anyway, so we're gonna chat on Thursday. So I'll put that up too. That's about talking about if you had 1 year left to live. Essentially, how would you live your life? I already know if that was the case right now, I'd just live like it is now. It's a rare thing to say, but it's the truth. I think I was mentioning the smoke in the city. Did I mention that earlier? See, it was so long I can't remember. It's very smoky right now from various kinds of burning and very high, very, very high. And it's even up here, way up here, 1,000 to 1,300 meters around here. It's even smoky up here now. That's unusual. There's sometimes in the past been a little tiny bit of haze, but not much, and now it's just, ooh. I'll try and remember to show you when I get a view of the hills. There's a bit of a view coming up, you can see. To be a bit careful because it's a lot of dry leaves on the trail right now, and can be quite slippery. Be very careful. You know, falling down with, you know, 18 kilograms of stuff on your back. It's not a recipe for a fun time. Look at this. Okay, so right here, right where that center there, from this tree, a big branch fell down. Boom. It was big. It was high, like about 2 or 3 feet up. And now, I mean, people cut it. Well, there's a remnant of it right here. There's a little tiny remnant. But it just kind of, people cut it a bit and it just dissolved, you know. Just disintegrated. The jungle will swallow you up. It's true, I feel swallowed up. I don't use the term jungle though. I prefer forest. It's a bit more. Jungle has too many weird kind of deepest, darkest Africa, in the jungle of the Congo. You know what I mean? It has all those sort of stories, colonial type stories from another time. They're interesting stories, but gotta read them with a certain perspective, you know. Anyway, but I like forest. It's a forest, right? Forest is good. Forest is good. I love the forest. I went from a beautiful place in southwest Alberta, my friend's place near Pincher Creek, camped out there for quite a long time actually. Love tent living. And actually where I live now is a little bit tent living like. My big wooden tent. Anyway, so I went from a place with like 1 or maybe 2 species of trees in view, you know. Like there were some cottonwoods and of course there were some, what do you call them? Willows, like willow bushes and stuff. They're more like bushes there, but, and of course there's quite a diverse ground species in the grass. You know, this is native grass there. The old growth forest of the plains. But then I come here, and it's like just looking out my window, I probably see more species of trees than I've ever seen in my life, you know. Okay. You know, I'm going to stop it now. Look at this old cistern thing. This, at one point, it's not really used, you know, as it would have been used in the past. You can see this blue pipe here? That's coming from elsewhere. But definitely some water does pool in there. But you can see at its condition that it's not used like it once was. It was probably a big pool that would pool water and then that would be piped down to the village and stuff. But that's not the case anymore. They've devised a different method. So the water that comes into the house is gravity fed, right? So when the power goes out, which it does on a regular basis, there's no problem with water, right? Yeah, but my friends near, they drink that water coming out of the pipes, but my friend Gung said, oh, because I'm much further away, she says, I don't know if drinking is a good idea, but some do. But anyway, that's how I got into the water thing, right? So I started, we were working on the ridge, and someone showed me where this spring is, and then I kind of put 2 and 2 together some months later, and I decided, I'm going to just go up and get my own water. So I can't really proclaim walking for water as a virtue. Virtue signaling. Da-dum-da-dum. No, I do it because I love it. I mean, to be fair, it's like maybe the best water I've ever had, and it's pure whatever, right? But you know, you can in this village. So here's the thing about the water in taps thing, right? There's always different options. Everyone thinks they have a right to water out of the tap, and maybe in Canada, I don't know. Get out of that conversation. But here, like most people get their water in these bottles, right? And also, like my mom does in the city as well. And what they do is they filter the water and then put it in these bottles. And the bottles are reused and reused and reused, right? They're not like recycled. They're actually reused. And it's good water. It's the same water that I drink, but it's purified. And I think sometimes they might put a bit of chlorine or something in, you know, some sort of disinfectant. Yeah, so you can do that, and that's decent. That's pretty good water, actually. But I do this. I love doing it. It's like a bit of a meditation. And now, of course, I do these videos, and it's become a kind of venting system for me. Anyway, so there you go. I'm gonna cut out, and then I'll click in when I get to that nice open spot. Yeah, so like I said, for me, the walking for water is really like a meditation on water. It's like a multiple year meditation on water. And you know, I make these videos, but I don't do them every time I go, right? I just do it when I feel like it. But I'll tell you something. And also, you know, carrying water and walking for water is nothing new to me, right? So of course I've spent a lot of time camping and over the decades. But especially when I was on my long ride, I carried water all the time, right? Because sometimes I couldn't camp near really close. I was never super far, but couldn't camp close to a water source. And of course, especially through that southern Saskatchewan, southern Alberta, southwest Saskatchewan, southeast Alberta, water was... Tell you something, you do that solo on horseback, you learn the value of finding water. And it's not even desert land, it's arid for sure, and during the summer it's very arid. And I always manage to get water every day, go somewhere near water. Not always the best water, I don't mind telling you. But yeah, but of course the thing is, I'm also water for horses, right? And horses drink a lot of water, like a lot of water. You can't imagine how much you need to do. So I was hauling tons of water every day. So yeah, anyway, but I will tell you, let's flip it. I'm more than happy to tell you that when you walk for water, even if it's not an absolute necessity in my experience, my lived experience, let's just say experience, it seems sort of like the same thing. Anyway, that it sure as hell teaches you something, right? Teaches the value of water. Not just the value to your own body and stuff, but the value of water to the whole world, to the natural communities at large. That was Derek Jensen's term. Like, you know, this ecosystem sounds a bit sciencey, you know? But I love that natural community term. Anyway, whatever term used doesn't really matter, I suppose. But yeah, so yeah, so that's what happens. And not just walking for water, it's carrying it, right? So, you know, like, I'm virtue signaling. So it's almost 2 kilometers up to the water, and then it's almost 2 kilometers down. And luckily for me, most of the up part is with a pack filled with big empty water bottles. They're each 8 liters. 8 liters big, so 16 liters of water. So it's around 16 kilograms. Yeah, so luckily the way back is downhill. See? Life will help you out every now and then. Anyway, we're coming to the end here. This is the end of the forest trail. So almost like half of the way is on the little road through the village, and the other half is on this trail that you've been seeing right now. And I love it. No matter what, because I've been kind of, ooh, look at that, eh? Actually, with the mist, with the mist, let's call it what it is, with the smoke, it kind of creates a sort of diffuse effect. It's quite beautiful. I love the smoke. No, I don't. Anyway, shoot, what was I talking about before I got distracted? I ended the trail. Yeah. I love coming up here because I've been quite busy making guitars and stuff, which is my kind of like my current calling, you know. So it's easy for me to just get enveloped every day in that, and then all of a sudden realize, I got to go to the city or I got to do whatever. But having to get water. Because, you know, I don't know if you've noticed this, but we all need to drink water every day. I noticed it a lot, especially this time of year. So, yeah, so that basically forces me, although it's never a trial or a toil, to get up in the forest and get some water and spend, you know, it takes me an hour and a half usually there and back. And, you know, hour and a half, but I wander along and chat with whatever neighbors I come across, and quite often it's Pisu Tam or people around her part of the village, and yeah, and I wave at people that come by on their motorbikes or cars and whatever. Beautiful. At this time of year I try to go early in the morning because it's quite hot in the afternoon. And then when it's the rainy season I try to go in the morning, because generally, not always, but almost always, it doesn't rain in the morning, it'll rain later in the afternoon. So I got leaves here. I'm trying to, this part is just, there's nothing really to lob your feet onto, like little rocks or something. It's all just sand, so leaves on sand. It's a little bit like water on ice. Not quite as bad, but yeah. So there you go. Hang on a sec. I'm going to show you the smoke. Now we're getting close. Look at this. So this is a home. I think my neighbor built this, but my near neighbor built this. But my far neighbors, I think, take care of it because they have little homestays too. This is a homestay. You could come here and stay here. It's really beautiful. Yeah. Look at, and they've really got some nice flowers and things. And I somehow I heard that they were going to make a little coffee shop right where that tree is, but haven't done it so far. And look, they've also got a bunch of beehives all along there. That's pretty neat. Yeah, it looks really nice. But one nice thing, it's up exposed here, right? So you can see out. My main point here is to show you this level of smoke here. Yeah, so you have a nice look out here, that's for sure. There's a couple of levels, like there's this level up here. Anyway, there's tons of beautiful homestays here. Yeah. Just sit in those things, look out. Anyway, whatever. My other friends are right there. So here we go. You can see you can't see very far. Like that far, oops, what are we doing now? Let's see if I lighten this. Is that better? Nope. Yeah, like you can see the edge of that, the very faintest edge there. That's not that far away. Normally you could see way farther. So smoke is quite bad up here too now. It's bizarre. But it's still creating a nice lighting effect. I don't mind the smoke because it looks so nice. It doesn't matter that I can't breathe at all. Actually, I was a little bit hiking up. Let's have a look down here. Some banana trees down there. Hiking up, I was like, whoa, it's hot and smoky. Could feel myself breathing heavy. Anyway, so that's the water walk for today. This is gonna be super long. I hope everyone's doing great. Yeah. Okay. Ciao. À la prochaine, and have a great day. Ciao. Actually, I don't have my mic on, so hopefully you can hear. As an aside, you see that little laddery thing going up the tree? I don't know what that is, but I think it might be something to do with a bee, like a honeybee nest up in the tree. Like sometimes these guys climb up the tree and get the honey. But it almost looks a bit pipey. I wonder if they've made some sort of drain out of it. Anyway, I'm not sure what it is, but it's pretty interesting.